Okay, I did it. I figured it out. Okay, I think now we're going down echo. But yeah, I'm trying this out. Hopefully it works and I don't have to refilm this because that would fucking suck. So, magic of editing. This actually took me, I don't know, not an hour, but like half an hour to make. So, it's nice to just snap my fingers and have shit appear, you know? So now that we have our scoreboard, let's actually get started with round one. So now for round one, let's actually take a look at the general claim that these articles are making without taking a deeper dive. And then I will make my argument in a similar way. Gun control was stricter in the Wild West. Okay, snappy argument, you got your clickbait title right there. Now hear my snappy clickbait title. The Wild West, as we think of it, ranged generally from 1865 to 1900, over a large amount of land, most of it not even states yet, where towns were far and few between, where wildlife and the lack of law enforcement in general was a large part of daily life, as well as the fact that guns themselves evolved quite a bit in this time, and gun laws are complex, ranging from who can buy what firearms, how long it takes to get them, who can make what type, and restrictions around parts of firearms such as suppressors, magazines, and other attachments like stocks for pistols. Okay, maybe not the most clickbait title, but this is something I immediately noticed on my first scan of the articles. They only talk about the carry of firearms. And I want to go into a deeper rant about the points and the articles make on this, but I will save that for round two. And this is just the first impressions without a deeper dive. So starting with my first points for this round. Firearms laws, like I said earlier, revolver. Sorry. I had to. It was funny. I think it was funny. This is my channel. I do what the fuck I want.
Sometimes I feel like you say the word revolver just because you like the word revolver. No?
Firearms laws, as I said earlier, revolver. Get it?
Revolver.
Around who can own what types of firearms and where, etc. Sorry. I'm still laughing at my terrible joke about revolvers. It's funny! God, oh my god, I'm fucking insane. Okay, anyway. So, back to my point. Detachable magazine restrictions, age, felons, if it's manual, semi-auto, full auto, barrel length, if it's a stocked pistol or not, etc. All of those vary from state to state, as well as wait times, limits on how many of certain firearms you can own, and what qualifies as need. There are also different licensing restrictions, where some states like New Hampshire, where I am, have constitutional carry, meaning that you don't need a license, but you can get one, where other states like Massachusetts require you to have a license, and the process for getting said license varies from state to state. Did I also not mention transfers? That's also a whole thing. What guns you can transfer to different states. I think in even some states like Rhode Island, the type of ammo you can have is restricted, as well as ammo amounts. So this is much more complicated. Firearms law is just a very large field. It's not just one, like, I think as I see it get summed up as in, oh, if you can have a gun or not. It's much more complicated than that. How much ammo can you have? What ammo can you have? Etc. is also a big part of that. To sum it all up, gun laws in the whole of the US it's fucking complicated. To say there are some states that basically try to ban all firearms outright, where others don't care as much. The more I learn about this, the more you have to kind of think, or at least for me, as the separate states, less as one cohesive unit that are governed by laws like a lot of other countries. Because if you think about it, we started out as colonies that were self-governing or trying to be self-governing and kind of came together in a union. That's why we're called the United States. We're a bunch of smaller states that came together into one big country. But each state even has their own Supreme Court. So, and we have federal laws and state laws. So each state is to a certain point, kind of independent in what they can do. You can't really sum up all of the country in terms of gun laws like that. It's really a state-by-state basis, so it's really complicated to say, like, gun laws in general, because even just think about Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Like, they are right next to each other. You know, they share a huge fucking border, but they cannot be more different in terms of gun laws. New Hampshire doesn't have any except for the federal laws that are just, you know, applied all over the country. Where Massachusetts has an extensive amount, like extensive. And I know that Rhode Island has certain ammo restrictions, and that's right next to it. So you can't, like, even just be like, oh, in this area, like, New England generally has stricter gun laws, but New Hampshire is the fucking, I was about to say Wild West, but that's kind of, you know, yeah. So it's a little bit complicated to say that. That's what I've learned. Basically, getting back from that rant, my biggest point for round one is the fucking NFA, which I have opinions on, which wasn't passed until after the Wild West. And if we're going to look at the US, as this is generally trying to, as one big cohesive firearms law, let's look at federal law. That's why I bring up the NFA, the National Firearms Act. This wasn't passed until well after the Wild West, like 30 years or so. So stock pistols, SBRs, machine guns, not restricted. Not to mention, semi-automatic pistols weren't even invented until the mid-1880s, which is in the later part of the Wild West. Magazine size restrictions, which is a big thing in the modern day in terms of gun law. Yeah, well, detachable box magazines, as we know them today, weren't really a thing until 1908. And I say that not really a thing because they were, like, invented earlier, but they weren't really commercially available until, like, 1908. And they weren't commercially available used for reloading, if that makes sense. Like, reloading the firearm. They were originally used for, like, cleaning. That's why I say as we know them today, but I autismed. Sorry. Anyway. So wait times, restrictions around semi-automatic weapons, and magazine rounds restrictions can't be a thing yet if they don't really exist, and laws usually take a little bit of time to kind of go into action. So even if immediately the government was like, hey, we don't want you to have, 15-round mags, detachable mags for reloading, we're not really a thing in the Wild West. We're not a thing in the Wild West. And semi-automatic weapons were fairly new. Like, you gotta give time. But yeah, there weren't any. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in round two. The NFA isn't a thing yet. So with the look at the idea of gun control already, without looking into the deeper legislation at the time, it's not really stricter in many ways because it can't be. Now, to be fair, there are other parts of gun laws I haven't looked at yet, and I will put that into the next round. But for round one, I say I win. Bam.
Yay!
I would like to let you know that some information about my channel. First off, that I am only funded by my Patreon. I will not be doing sponsorships or using YouTube's monetization feature, even though they've asked me twice now. So if you are interested in that, you get extra LittleGunBunny content, and it starts at $5. So my link for the Patreon will be in the description below and on screen now. I also have a PayPal box where you're welcome to send me things. I will soon actually be putting together a requested list of guns and tactical gear and stuff that I like, including ammo, if people want to send me things that aren't a subscription-based service, or if you just have stuff lying around. So that will be being compiled soon, and I will keep that updated so people can know, like, oh, what does she own, what does she, etc. I also want to say that I post videos every Monday and Thursday, so come to my channel and check out there. I do a good mix of things. I do everything from competitions to trying new guns to cosplay, shooting in cosplay, more goofy videos kind of like this, making cosplay, and just also pure goofing off. I also generally document my journey through guns and opening a gun shop. Let me think. I have social medias, which are on the screen over here somewhere, where you can follow me, but I mostly post on YouTube and sometimes on Instagram.